there, Jonathon here, and welcome to Learn to Playthrough, and welcome to my workstation. Today we're going to be starting the painting process of the Goliath with some priming. And here is the Goliath. So the first thing we need to do before we prime the Goliath is to give it a bath. And this is going to get rid of any substances that might stop the primer from adhering. But before we give the Goliath a bath, if there are any gaps that need filling, now would be the time so no water can seep into the miniature and any dirt and grime transferred onto the miniature while filling the gaps can be cleaned afterwards. So let's go ahead and take a look at these gaps on the Goliath. On the right side of the Goliath, we have gaps around the head, on the shoulder, and on the leg. On the back side, we have a good gap around the waist, and we have some gaps on the shoulders. And on the left side of the Goliath, we have gaps around the head, on the shoulder, and on a leg. Okay, so in regards to these gaps, there are 3 items that I use to fill gaps. And I have what's called green stuff. As you can see, it's blue and yellow, and when you mix blue and yellow together, you get green. Hence the name, green stuff. And I use green stuff to fill the larger gaps. And then for the smaller gaps, I'll use the Gorilla Super Glue Gel and the 100% acrylic resin matte varnish. So let's go ahead and take a look at these gaps after they've been filled. So here's the right side of the Goliath, and there's a lot of green on it, so I'm using a lot of the green stuff to fill those big gaps. And of course you can't see the super glue and the matte varnish because it dries clear. And on the back side around the waist, there's some green stuff, and then I use some super glue on the shoulders. And then on the left side of the Goliath, around the head, there's some green stuff, and the right leg has got some green stuff. And then I use the super glue on the shoulder, and then on the flailing tongue, I use the matte varnish. Excellent. Well, now that the gaps are all filled, let's get the miniature cleaned. Now normally, I have 2 cups here. One would contain warm soapy water, which is filled with Dawn dish soap, and the other would contain some clean warm water to rinse off the miniatures. But since we have an XL enemy, it is a little bit too big for the cups. So looks like no bath for our Goliath. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and give our Goliath here a warm, soapy scrub down under some warm running water with the use of a soft bristle toothbrush. So I can go ahead and get into the nooks and crannies while I'm cleaning them. And then once we're all done washing and drying, I'll go ahead and take the Goliath outside to get its priming done. So when we're ready for the priming, I have a dowel here that's got some poster tack on the top, and I keep it away from my hand here so when I spray with the primer I don't spray onto my hand. Now, as you can see here, the poster tack is blue, and before I had some that was tan in color. And this stuff I got from a dollar store. And it's Jot poster tack. So just look for some poster tack. It only costs $1, so it's pretty good. It's 2 ounces worth, and it's a lot cheaper than the other stuff that I got that was from Hobby Lobby, because that was 4 ounces for $3, and this is 2 ounces for $1. So if you double this one, it's $2. So you save $1. And then I also have foam mounting tape, and they're pre-cut little sections here of 3/4 of an inch by 1/2 of an inch. And I went ahead and I took 2 of them and I put them on one of the dowels here, and I put the Goliath onto it and shook it around and stayed on pretty good. So it's pretty good stuff here. This foam mounting tape. Okay, as for the primer, I'm going to be using white and then also black from the Army Painter. And the white's going to represent the highlights from the light shining down onto the Goliath. And then the black is going to represent the shadows that are underneath the Goliath. Okay, well, we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the washing and the drying of the Goliath. And then I'll meet you outside to get the Goliath spray painted up with some primer. Hello there, Jonathan here, and we're at the side of the house where I do all my spray painting at. And it's a nice cool evening here in October. And we had a little bit of a drizzle of rainfall here a couple hours ago, so let's go ahead and get this Goliath all spray painted up with some primer before we get hit with another good amount of rainfall. So here's our Goliath, and he's all prepped up with the gaps being filled, so he can go ahead and be primed. And we'll go ahead and start off with some white, and we'll be using this white primer from the Army Painter. I'm going to go ahead and spray it straight down to represent the highlights. Alright, that's looking pretty good there. Alright, next let's go ahead and get some black in the Army Painter, and we'll go ahead and spray it straight up to represent the shadows that are underneath the Goliath. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. Yep, looks like everything is all the gray is covered. So, that's almost impressive. I tell you, doing this white spray painting down and the black spray painting up, it almost looks good enough just like this. Let's put a sealant on it, and these miniatures are good to go. Alright, well, everything's looking good and covered. So with that, let's go ahead and do it for the Goliath here, and let's go ahead and head back to the workstation and continue on. Hello there, Jonathan here, and welcome back to my workstation. We got the Goliath here all primed up with white and black to show the highlights and the shadows. And here is the Goliath. So all 3 of the fillers that I have were used. The green stuff, the Gorilla Super Glue Gel, and the 100% acrylic resin matte varnish. And some worked a little bit better than the others, depending on the gap sizes and such, but overall everything came out pretty good. Now for the Goliath, there are a lot of pictures out there, including a couple pictures in the Shadows of Brimstone City of the Ancients adventure book. So definitely going to have to decide on what look to give the Goliath. Well, that should do it for now. So let's go ahead and get our enemy back down to the gaming table for some more action, and then get it back up here to continue on with the painting process.